Unless you're new to this show, you'll have already heard me say, probably many times, that fandom, pure fandom, is about hope. That's what drives it. When hope is gone or hope wanes, that's when fandom turns into something else. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. It just might be that the most painful part of following the Penguins over the past, I would say 2 or 3 years, I wouldn't stretch it all the way back to the beginning of the not winning a playoff series streak. I'd say over the last couple, is that it can look very easily as if there isn't hope. The most talented players on the team aren't just older, they're markedly older. They're really old. Hence, even if they perform well, they don't have a future. Thus, no hope. Minor league system, borderline barren. And I say borderline only because Braden Yeagers had himself a terrific season in the WHL. And maybe to a lesser extent because Yoel Blomqvist was an AHL All-Star as a North American rookie. But there isn't much there. So if it's not going to come from your best players or your youngest players, where's it going to come from? Exactly. So there were a couple of neat things that I observed late in the season in this regard as it relates to the people who most passionately follow the Penguins. One was that home game against the Hurricanes. You know which one I'm talking about, where the kids were the ones who led the way. And I'm even being a little loose in defining the kids because Jesse Puljujarvi, who's not really a kid, but he's also, trying to fight his way back to the NHL. He's certainly not old, mid-20s. But between Puljujarvi, Valtteri Puustinen, Drew O'Connor, Jonathan Gruden, the young defenseman who came up, it felt as if the younger players that the Penguins do have pushed them, carried them, or what's the Mike Sullivan term? Dragged them into the fight to beat a really good opponent in a really tough spot. And then afterward, to have some of the veterans acknowledge that and say, man, they really gave us something here, and we needed it, and it was great. The reaction to that game, both in the building and outside the building, was really something. And unless you're an exception to that somehow, you're going to know exactly what I mean. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Similarly, even though this came before that, for as much as the Jake Gensel trade brought a lot of blowback, there were a lot of diehards, a lot of the more knowledgeable fans who really were just completely in favor of it. In some cases, blindly so, I dare say, meaning they were just looking at it thinking, wait a second, we traded an older guy for some younger guys? This is awesome. Never mind if the younger guys are any good or not, all in favor. But to be fair, there also were people who did do their homework on these prospects and who did like what they saw and who did see potential. Because they saw potential, they saw hope. Because they had seen the Penguins stagnate even while Jake was here, they saw lack of hope. What I'm getting at here, because some of this is going to sound like, insultingly obvious stuff, is that what I believe has to happen with the Penguins in the most general possible perspective is that between Kyle Dubas and Sullivan, but especially Dubas, this organization has to get back to putting itself into a position where there's hope on the inside and on the outside, because you can feel it when it's on the outside. You can feel when the crowd is with you. You can feel when the crowd isn't. Even for the people who don't go to games, you can feel a general mood about the team in one direction or the other. It matters. It makes a difference. And to my mind, that's going to have to be some kind of melding between old and young. For those of you who remember what it was like when Sidney Crosby was drafted, you'll remember that one of the most striking sights was seeing him suit up along with 66. You knew that wasn't going to last for very long, but now Mario no longer had to represent your hope. Sid could do that. And while there isn't just another Sid lying around, and I'm certainly not going to attach anything of the sort to Jaeger, when you do start bringing in younger talent, whether it's a Jaeger, Owen Pickering, Jack St. Ivan, who I really like, Blomqvist, Puustinen, maybe Sam Poulin finally makes the leap. Don't forget about Drew O'Connor. I'm almost purposely leaving him out of this because I just consider him to be an established NHLer who's got a really high ceiling still. And now you see these guys and you see their energy and you feel that and you feed off of it. Now, okay, yeah, but Sid's here. Sid's still here. That's cool. Gino's still here. Letang's still here. Erik Karlsson is still here. But to an extent, whoever these younger players are, and however it is that Dubas acquires them, and maybe they'll include sooner rather than later some of these pieces that came in the Jake trade, they have to be the drivers. That doesn't mean they'll be the highest scorers. It doesn't mean they'll be the ones that are getting, Reebok skate deals. But they have to do what happened that night in the Carolina game. That's the kind of thing that gives you hope because, there's still way too many people in Pittsburgh who think that as soon as Sid is going to be gone, that it's going to turn into 2003 all over again and the Penguins will be the worst team in the league and then they'll go bankrupt and they're going to move Pittsburgh. None of this is going to happen. None of this is going to happen. It's a completely different world right now, both in the NHL and in our city. So even a bridge becomes something that can offer hope. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Carmen, who says, DK, the Oilers are down in their series against the Stars as Stuart Skinner has an .852 save percentage within the series, a save percentage of .885 in the playoffs, and a .906 save percentage over the regular season. Will Kyle Dubas send Tristan Jarry west? Will he even try? I had a feeling that's where you were going with that one, my man. I brought it up myself. I would have no issue seeing the Penguins ever make a trade of any kind with Edmonton. Those are always very, very, very good trades because the Oilers are the Oilers. Oh, they can hide some of that pretty well, and they'll occasionally hit on a chemistry type addition like Zach Hyman and turn him into a 50-goal scorer because, he's out there with guys that he fits with and guys who happen to be generational talents. Great for him. But for the most part, you're still talking about the Oilers, who are trying to win a Stanley Cup with these two generational megastars with basically a backup goaltender. Skinner's 25 years old. He's in the middle of a 3-year, $7.6 million contract. The statistics are screaming that of a backup. The performance to date in the playoffs is screaming that of a backup. So would they be interested in Jarry, who makes twice as much, but probably a lot more talented than Skinner, and who also, by the way, lives in Edmonton in the offseason, and they love that sort of stuff? Yeah, sure. Sure, absolutely. Go ahead and move him. I am on record as saying that I would move Jarry just for the cap space. I wouldn't even care what I got in return. Now, I might be wrong. And watching the Western field as a whole, it's easy to wonder why most of these teams seemed satisfied to enter the tournament without a real live playoff goaltender. In fact, I count only 2 that did. One was Winnipeg, and Connor Hellebuck was a mess. That happens. And 2, still playing. That's Jay Cottinger in Dallas. That's it. There was not another goaltender to be had in that conference. Certainly not among the teams that qualified. So yeah, maybe I am wrong. Maybe Dubas, if he made known that Jarry was available, he'd get all kinds of attention for it, suitors, whatever. I'm in favor of it. I believe that his course has run in Pittsburgh. I believe that he can be replaced reasonably with a league average goaltender. I believe that Alex Nedeljkovic proved that, to his credit, not knocking him, over the final month of the season. Being real here, Ned wasn't great over the final month. Ned was just normal. Ned wasn't killing you. Whereas Jarry, when he gets into his funks or his episodes, he'll kill you. Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead. Send him to Edmonton. Pay the airfare. Or actually, he already lives there. You don't even have to do that. Bonus. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.